Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Super Sheep in here. I'm really excited because today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite series, Suikoden. There are 5 games in total for this series, and I do want to cover every single one, maybe even some of the spin-offs. But today, specifically, I'll be talking about the very first game, Suikoden, developed by Konami in 1995. At that time, JRPGs had started becoming increasingly more popular in the West. Maybe you've heard of a couple of those titles. Oh, the Chrono Trigger, the Final Fantasy. Yeah, pretty big names in the industry, right? Well, Konami decided, you know what? I think I want a little bit of that pie too. Maybe I should come up with my own series. Well, that's exactly what they did. Early on in development, they decided, you know what? It would be pretty cool if we made a game based off of this 14th century Chinese novel called Water Margin. It is known by other names as well, Outlaws of the Marsh, All Men Are Brothers, or in Chinese, Shui Hu Zhuan. That's definitely not how you pronounce that. I have no idea how to pronounce Chinese. I apologize. That being said, you might see the similarities between Shui Hu Zhuan and Suikoden. Oh my gosh, it's almost like Suikoden is just the Japanese version of it. Oh my god, mind blown. Now, it's definitely not a direct copy of the story. In fact, there are very few aspects of the story that carry over into Suikoden, mostly being a specific scene with an inn and some bandits who might, put you to sleep with sleeping poison. Really, the biggest similarity or trait that is shared between the two is the 108 spirits in the book or 108 stars in the game. These 108 stars are, simply put, 108 recruitable party members for your party. 108. 108 characters. That's a lot of fucking characters. I know. It's a lot to keep track of. You know what's fucking awesome about 108 characters, though? Basically guaranteed to find one that you like. It also means that some characters get a little bit more development and or screen time than others, but yeah, it's a game from 1995. They did what they could. They just thought it would be cool to throw as many characters and have recruitment be a major part of the game. And it is. It's honestly the best part of the game. It's just Suikoden as a series is just fun to beat. It's fun to complete. It's fun gathering up all these different characters. You running along in a town and you see some cool character that looks different than any of the other NPCs. They have this cool portrait. You're like, oh, they have a name. You're like, oh my god, how do I get that? I want it. I want that character. I want to see what he does. Well, you can recruit him. And, some of them have a little bit of a prerequisite, if you will. Maybe, you have to run away from so many battles, or you need to complete this part of the story in such a short a period of time. It really does differ from character to character. Some are as easy as just walking up and talking to them. And then there are others that you get who are kind of main characters along with yours, who will join up automatically. Now, this might kind of seem a little intimidating, especially considering most JRPGs, you only have a party of 3 or possibly 4 characters in battle at one specific time. Maybe you have a small bench that you can switch in and out, thinking, something like Final Fantasy X. You got 3 main squad, and you can switch out whenever. Well, Suikoden is a little bit different. This game has motherfucking 6 party members in battle. 6? Oh man, that's too many characters, bro. I don't even know what to do with myself. Can I even play this game? Yeah. Yeah, you can. I guarantee you, it's really not that complicated. It's broken down in a way that makes sense. You have frontliners, medium range fighters, and backliners, and you got some mages. Each character that you recruit falls into one of those classifications. Frontliners are your big beefy tanks. They got that Chad armor. They take up the damage. They protect everybody else. They can dish it too, though. I mean, some of my favorite characters are in this class. Thinking big ol' Bear Victor or Lightning Flick. They are must-haves for your party. If you don't have any frontliners, everyone's gonna take a lot of damage and you're probably gonna have a bad time. Just saying. Next up, you have your medium-ranged fighters. This includes your main character, canonically known as Tyr in the first game. They are able to be put anywhere on either the front or back lines, and they can attack either the front or back lines of the enemy. They typically do not have as much defense as your short-range tanks. They typically don't have as much physical attack either, but they make up for it with having more speed, more magic power, and they're just well-rounded fighters. Next up, we have long-range fighters! I'm sorry. Oh, man. All right, so these are the fighters that they have low defense. You don't want to put them in the front line, otherwise they're just going to get absolutely decimated. You want to keep them in back where they're safe behind those short-range tanks and have them snipe. These are typically your bowmen or throwing daggers or any other kind of... I mean, they're ranged fighters, right? That makes sense that they will have a ranged weapon. But they are able to safely attack either enemy row from the back line. They usually do have very high attack as well. It's pretty important to have at least one in any team comp. Finally, we have the boss killers, or mages. These characters are technically regarded as short-range fighters. Just don't put them on the front line. Yeah, they won't be able to basic attack, but don't worry. They make up for it. These characters have the highest magic stat in the game, which means... What? Oh, you wanted me to tell you. Okay. Right. I guess I could do that. That means that they motherfucking destroy shit. They use that magic stat to boost their runes, and they have the single highest damage output potential in the game. If you don't bring at least one mage and one healer mage with you for boss fights, man, they're gonna take so much longer. It's just, don't even get me started. Just please, whatever you do, bring someone with a lightning rune and high magic stats and just nuke that boss. Trust me, you'll be better off. You'll have a more fun time. There are plenty of different mages in the game. You're bound to find one that you like. Just do it. Just do it. Please, just do it. Now, based off of those 4 fighter archetypes, it's really up to you how you want to build your squad. I mean, like I said, there are multiple characters of each role that you will be able to find a different party every single time you play through. Now, there are certain parts of the game that force you to use 1 or 2 characters. Occasionally, it'll force you to use an entire party. But that's kind of the beautiful thing about Suikoden. They've realized that with so many characters, having characters left on the bench would cause issues, right? Because they wouldn't get as much XP, they'd fall behind. Yeah, it sounds like a pain in the ass. That's why they decided to have a catch-up system. You bring a character with you that hasn't been in combat for a while, and you bring them with your fully leveled up party, and you fight enemies that are the level of your party. And those characters that have been on the bench even for the entire game, they'll literally catch up in levels in like 3 or 4 battles. So you don't have to worry about sunken cost fallacy. You can always bring someone that you think is cool, and they will catch up in a very short amount of time. Yeah, chances are, out of the 108 recruitable party members, you're probably going to be using at least 40 to 50 of them throughout the playthrough. If you're like me and you are just kind of curious and you wanted to grind it out and try a little bit of everyone, you can do that. There's nothing really stopping you from playing the game the way you want to play it. Now, I've been talking a little bit about magic, right? I mean, we just talked about the mages, and I dropped the word runes. Well, runes are Suikoden's magic system, simply put. They work similar to like D&D wizard spell slots, where you have a certain amount of slots that you can cast before you have to take a long rest at an inn. For those of you who are mega nerds, you'll be pretty familiar with that system. Now, runes come in different elements: water, air, fire, earth. They also come with some non-elemental things, like maybe this rune, you attach it to this character and they recover health every turn, or they get a special physical attack, or maybe a counter, or they make it so that you don't have random encounters when you're walking along the map. They really are super diverse, and they are the lifeblood of the game. Playing around with the runes is another aspect of Suikoden that really makes the game unique and fun. You can build characters how you want. Even if a character starts with a specific rune when you recruit them, you're going to be able to detach that rune and put whatever you want in there. So, say this mage is really cool, but hey, I don't really like air runes. I'd rather him have fire so he could nuke some shit. You can do that, and you can turn them into a massive weapon. The customization is actually pretty unreal, especially when you're talking about a game that was developed in 1995. Another really appealing part of this game is building your home base. You, about a third of the way through the game, get a rundown castle that has been abandoned in the middle of a lake, and you get to watch it grow from this derelict ruin into a bustling castle town with every new person you recruit. They come and live in the castle with you during the war. Whether it's your actual fighters, or if it's like your blacksmith, your innkeeper, your item shop, your armor smith, even have a guy who can come and gamble with you. It really does get to grow, and you get all these amenities. I mean, fuck, you even get to recruit a guy who just is there to build a bath. There isn't really anything to do in the bath, but you can go in there. It's something you can do. I never really did, but I appreciate that it's in the game. It's just one of those things. It's satisfying. It feels good to grow this castle and have it be your own, and you get to see it through the bad and the good, and it's. I don't know, man. It just feels good. That's my favorite thing about this game. It's just so much just feels good to play in so many ways. Please, if you haven't played the game, play it. You'll see what I mean. Now, I wanted to move on a little bit to the graphics in the game. You might be able to tell from the footage that it's sprite-based. It's old school JRPG sprite-based graphics, and I gotta say, it's gorgeous. It still holds up today. I mean, granted, the UI definitely leaves a lot to be desired. It's absolutely dated and clunky. The inventory system is like Golden Sun's inventory system, but somehow just infinitely worse. Not really sure why it feels so much worse than Golden Sun's, but it does. But the actual sprites and character models and animations, this is all top-notch stuff, guys. I mean, the sheer amount of unique sprites that were drawn for this game and that were used for like a 1 to 2 second clip and then thrown out and never used again is just absolutely mind-boggling. It allows for so much emotion to be felt by these characters, especially the main characters, right? Not so much the ones that are just kind of there and you recruit and don't play a huge part of the story, but those main characters that actually get development. You can feel some emotions on their face despite them being these tiny little pixelated things from 1995. I truly do believe that an HD remake of this game would be worthwhile. I mean, in all honesty, all the Suikoden games, but even this old as fuck game, I think deserves a little bit of love, and I don't even think it would be that much work. I mean, look at this shit. Look at this. This is beautiful. Come on. I can't possibly be the only one who sees this. This shit is delicious. Look at how cute this the little guy is on the overworld. He's ready for adventure. I don't know, man. It's charming, and I really do believe that it holds up to this day with even modern day sprite work. All right, okay. I've been talking a lot, but it's time to get serious. We're about to talk about the music. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like the soundtrack is the same level of epicness that anything by Nobuo Uematsu is in Final Fantasy, but the tracks serve a very specific purpose that it allows the world to feel more alive. Just take a listen to the intro theme. It really does feel like you're about to set foot on this grand adventure, and it puts you in such a good mood. And just listen to it. All right, I'll let it do the talking. Next up, take a listen to this battle theme. I mean, again, it might not immediately sound as epic as a Final Fantasy track or a Chrono Trigger battle theme or a lot of other JRPG battle themes, but you can really hear these drums of war in the back. It really does feel like I said, like you're going off to war. Then you have this grand composition from the capital city of the Empire, and it just feels and sounds so regal and like everything's gonna be okay and watched over by this grand empire, and that you, while in this city, are just going to be safe, and the town is bustling and it's prosperous, and the people are wealthy and happy. And it just captures those emotions so well. See what I mean? I mean, I'm not the only one who thought that. This is why it was reused at the end of the game, but this time it is a little bit more depressing. You can really hear the wind. It sounds like a whisper, and of a time past. This grand empire that was once a bastion of hope and wealth and prosperity is gone, like the wind is once it's done blowing. Finally, we come to my favorite track in the entire game. It's called Forgotten Ones. It plays only once during a time where you're seeing a vision of the past, and it really does sound like the piece of the past is fading away. I mean, you hear the birds in the background, this idyllic village, and it really affected me in a very special way when I was playing through this story and this section of the game, and it's hard to describe. So I'm just gonna play the clip, and you'll see what I mean. Like I said, the soundtrack might not blow your socks off the same way that anything by, and I'm gonna say him again, Nobuo Uematsu. We all love him for a very specific reason. I mean, his shit's good, and this might not be on that same level, but it serves the purpose of the game so well. You really do feel invested, and I think that's the best you can do with any soundtrack, and I think it nails it out of the park. Now, finally, we get into the story. Now, I'm not really gonna go in depth. I don't want to spoil the game for you guys. The story does follow a pretty basic format of you raising up your army, and then you going to fight a specific general, you defeating it, and then you move on to the next one, and then you kind of do that until you reach the end of the game. It is a little bit more nuanced. There's some character elements that make up for the lack of creativity in the story, but I mean, it serves its purpose. It's not really about the story, it's about the world, and like I said, the characters, and the freedom that you get from being able to customize and play the way you want to play. Now, I did want to briefly touch upon 3 specific characters, 2 of which are kind of cheating because they're like main characters in this game and also in the sequel, Suikoden 2. Those being Victor and Flick. Victor at first appears to be just kind of a big dumb oaf, but he's always been lovable from the very start, from the very first time that you meet him. But you do get to see the growth and the pain from his past and how he has had to face his fears and overcome the hardships, and you realize that he's not just some big dumb oaf. He's actually this incredibly strong individual that doesn't let the burdens of his past bring him down more than it has to. Then you get to Flick, and he's this brash young asshole. I mean, there isn't really a better way to describe him. I mean, he kind of hates you from the beginning of the game. There is a tragedy that happens to him and that you bear witness to, and he takes it very, very badly. And it isn't really until about halfway through the game that he is able to extend the olive branch as well, or I guess take the olive branch that you extended. But he is able to overcome that, and he becomes one of your best friends by the end of the game. And in the sequel, he's honestly unrecognizable. I mean, he goes from this brash hothead to the voice of reason and like a very competent leader. He's easily my favorite character from any of these games, and I really did resonate with him because of that. I think a lot of young males probably will. They, you know, he has relatable problems, and he has relatable personality traits, and he really does succeed as a character. Oh, finally, we have a character that plays a little bit smaller a role than both Victor and Flick, but I still resonated with, and that's a character called Tengar. You only see her about 3/4 of the way through the game, and she is kidnapped by a creature, we shall say, and you have to save her. But she's not really just a damsel in distress like other video games. She actually is, well, I mean, once you get her, she's one of the strongest all-around characters in the game. I mean, she has insane magic and attack power and speed, but I mean, that's not really the point. I wanted to talk about her character. The fact is, she is very loving and to people around her, and she's willing to sacrifice. I mean, she's not kidnapped. She voluntarily turns herself in to protect her village. It's her choice, and you do end up saving her from this creature. But again, she's not helpless. The entire time, she has a plan, and she's doing it to protect the people that she loves. And I found it very admirable. And I also really did enjoy the relationship she has with her boyfriend Hicks. Hicks is not really anything special, but she is supportive, and she doesn't berate him or tear him down. She, despite his insecurities and his depression even, she is the way people should support their friends and family, and it's really awesome to see. Anyways, guys, like I said, I don't want to go too far into spoilers. I really do want people to play the game, and I hope my 25 minutes of rambling has helped you guys understand why this game is so special to me and why I love it. And like I said, I plan on doing videos like this on all the Suikoden games at a certain point, and I'll talk about how some characters translate between the games, because it is a fluid timeline, and there are characters that are in multiple games, and I'll discuss how they change across the series. I don't know if it's going to be my next video necessarily. I might want to experiment with something new. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, these are my thoughts on Suikoden. Suikoden 1 is probably, funnily enough, as much as I love it, it's probably my least favorite of all the mainline games. But it's still a solid game, and it's an amazing starting point for the series. I highly recommend it to anyone who loves JRPGs and has never played it, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Anyways, guys, I think that's enough for one day. Hope you enjoyed it, and please look forward to more videos like this in the future. Super Sheepin here once again, signing off. Peace.